Hello everyone, we're Teams of Hoarders 12560, and in today's episode of STEM Podcast we're here with...
I'm Bart Bonamie. I work for a company in Belgium that works for the government. We do lots of IT projects, including a lot about AI. So yeah, pleasure to be here.
Judging by the fact that you work in this IT domain, I wanted to ask you, just out of curiosity, what was your first connection or like your first experience with a computer or with technology in general?
Now we're going way back in time. I think I was about 12 years old when my dad bought the first computer, and it was a very, very basic system. It could do nothing unless you programmed it in BASIC. And that was my very first experience. I switched it on. There were 5 function keys at the top. Said color, auto, go to, list, and run. I pressed all of them. The 5th one had an automatic return. So it gave 4 commands, enter, and then syntax error, because it didn't know what to do. So I didn't know what to do either. It gave me errors and I didn't know why. That was my first experience.
I was curious because, as far as I know it, technology and like phones, tablets were just given to me. Yeah. Like I didn't know where they did come from or what they did. I was just born with them in my hand. So.
You're a digital native. Yeah. You've never known a world without computers. For me, it was slightly different. I was there. I'm very happy, in fact, that I was there when it all started. I saw the rise of home computers, then Commodore 64, Ataris, all those systems, they got replaced by PCs. PCs became more powerful, and 86 became 82, 86, then 386, Pentiums, more and more processing power. Then over the years, the computers that you could buy for home use previously were meant for Hollywood studios, and all of a sudden you had this processing power on your table at home. That was amazing, and it still is. But the difference now is that a smartphone is like 1,000 or 1,000,000 times faster than the first computer I had. So this revolution in technology is really unimaginable if you think about where we come from and how fast it has gone, and it's wow. And this speed of development is only going to go faster because better computers allow us to develop even betterer computers. So it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
In the past, do you know how they made the first, I think it was the first 386 processor? It was drawn on a sheet of paper, bigger than the size of this room here, on paper. Now everything is designed in a CAD program on a monitor, because computers can do that now. It's really amazing. Yeah. And
this is all, I think, thanks to engineers and people who have made progress into this revolution. It's all thanks to them.
Obviously. I mean, without engineers, you're nowhere. I can have an idea that I could say, it would be great if we had teleportation. Yeah, but somebody has to invent it.
Yeah, not
it
really
would be
participating
great
without putting your hands on the thing and just saying, I need this, I need that.
Exactly. It's not just an idea. Somebody also has to develop this idea into a concept that can be processed and worked into something that is really usable and has practical applications. Aside from that, I mean, there's everything is just dreams, and dreams are good for dreamers, but engineers are people who make dreams reality. Yeah, so they have to do this kind of translation from wishes into reality. You need engineers, definitely, creative ones.
Yeah. moving on to my second question, judging by the fact that you are one of those people who actually had a progress in that revolution, I wanted to ask you, how do you organize members within your team to actually reach those high achievable tasks? Because we as a robotics team, we sometimes have problems regarding organization and I don't know, like efficienting tasks and just spreading them throughout our team. And I wanted to ask you, how do you guys do that between your team?
I have done several projects in the past. Now, the company I work for now, it's a big IT company, more than 2,200 people. So when we set up projects inside the company, I don't do IT projects, but we do different kinds of like communication projects or things that have to be disseminated, like what you are doing now. And when somebody, a client, we call them, when it could be an internal client or external, when they come to us and they say, we would like to do this or that, we sit together with them and we make sure that we understand really well what it is that they are trying to do. Yeah? Because sometimes they come to us with a wild idea, but a wild idea is not very practical. Yeah? I want to inform everybody. Okay, how? How do you do that? So we sit down with them, we make sure that everything is very clear for us, and then, for instance, we will take Excel, a spreadsheet, and have an agenda in the spreadsheet. We will start a retro planning where we have a deadline, and then we work back in time. If you want to reach this deadline, then by that time this should be finished, before that should be finished. So all the different steps, all the different aspects of this project are listed in an Excel sheet that everybody can follow. You can use different applications, it doesn't matter, but we do it in Excel. And everybody has access to the same file, so everybody can see what they have to do. And we just make sure that everything that has to happen is in the file. If it's not there, we're not doing it. So better think ahead of what you want to do, what you want us to do, and we will help you. We will help you to think about things that we know you will need, but probably there are other things that you wish that we haven't thought of yet. So we have meetings, several meetings, before we start the work, and we make sure that, as we say, all the noses are in the same direction. And when they are, then we can start.
So you're basically making sure that you understand what's required in order to provide the exact solution.
Exactly. And even after we have the meetings, we will report back, email everybody and say, okay, this is what we agreed on in this meeting. If nobody replies, it means they're okay with it. If we forgot something, also important, if we forgot something, then they can still say, whoops, don't forget this, don't forget that. So it's all about really careful planning before you lift a finger. Because as soon as you start, then okay, there's no going back. Yeah? If you forgot something and at the end of your project, all of a sudden you realize that, oops, we should have had this, we should have had that. Too late now, so carry on. Yeah?
And one of those meetings, how much does it take, like a duration estimative?
It depends on the project. Oh. If it is like a project that will take a whole month, because you have several elements, like many training programs or experts that you invite, and it's a month program, then it will take maybe it will take half a day to really plan carefully. We won't do half a day, we will do 4 times 1 hour, because it's better. If it is something short, like a communication that should just happen on one day, or okay, well, give us the material, we will rework it a bit, send it out, do whatever is necessary. It depends on the volume of the project.
Yeah,
which is normal. Yeah,
of course. As those things, because we really want to implement new strategies of organizing and doing tasks efficient every day. Talking to experts in companies. That's why we adopt different styles also, like the agile method. Yeah, for example. And
agile is used a lot in our company.
Yeah, we use external applications like ClickUp to just do tasks. We are divided into 4 departments, programming, assembly, 3D CAD, and marketing.
Okay.
And we have tasks designated for each department. And we have also 2 leaders of the team. I'm the non-technical leader, and we also have a technical leader. That's why we facilitate efficient communication throughout the team. And I represent the voices of the non-technical members, and my colleague who is not here today represents the voices of the technical members. That's what we decided. We come to the conclusion in 9 years of the team. This is my 3rd year, but the team is founded in 2016.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the method we use, one of the methods explained generally.
Yeah. We, in my company, we work with a project management framework. It's called Prin 2. But Prin 2 is really professional. It covers lots of aspects. We have a project management office, because we do so many projects that you need a leader for all the project leaders. That's how many projects there are. So this project leader will do the general follow-up and check the overall budgets and see that we don't go over budget anywhere, or that there are no time constraints. But apart from that, this top manager does nothing in the projects. He just organizes projects. Then we have project managers who each have their own project, and they all follow the same methodology, which allows for us to replace people by others if necessary. Like if somebody gets ill and can't work for 2 or 3 months, they need to be replaced. Otherwise, the project comes to a standstill. So by using the same methodology everywhere, we have transparency in how we do things. And when somebody from one team joins another team, they can easily use the same methodology because it's what they were doing before as well. So nothing changes. The contents of the project changes, but not how we do the project.
I imagine it's also like more strict in the real world, because since we're like an NGO, if we stagnate or aren't transparent enough, we don't really like take a lot of risks. But in the real world, money is also included.
We are an NGO.
Oh, okay.
We are a non-profit company, but we work for the government. So the government gives us money, and if we were to make profit, the government would just give us less money, so that there wouldn't be no profit. The opposite is true. In fact, if the government pays us money and we can do it cheaper than we planned, we give the money back. So for the government, it's a very good deal. That's
really interesting. Moving on to our 3rd question about artificial intelligence. Judging by the fact that AI is growing rapidly, do you think it will act like as an assistant or a tool, or it will actually replace engineers and people who work in this domain?
I think it's already an assistant. I think AI is already replacing people. The question is, how many more assistants will we get, and how many more people will be replaced? That I don't know. I don't have like a crystal ball, but looking at how things have gone in technology in general in the past century, then jobs will be replaced by others. But this should not be a problem, because with AI come new types of jobs that we didn't need before, like for instance prompting. If you want to use an AI, you have to prompt the AI. Okay, I think prompting specialists will become a thing.
People who know the AI better and create
exactly specialists in working with that particular AI or that particular one. People who are experts in prompting, so that the AI gives you the answer in the fastest or most efficient way possible.
That would actually be really interesting. Consulting with a prompt assistant to actually get your ideas out of your head.
Exactly.
Into the AI.
And this is something that does not exist now because, well, until we had ChatGPT, there was no prompting. So if there is no prompting required, why would you have a training program for prompters? No need. In a similar way, I think my job is probably one of the jobs that is going to be endangered because ChatGPT can write texts very well already.
Yeah.
So I think in the future, people who do copywriting or any kind of text production, they will review texts written by AIs, not write them themselves anymore because it takes too long. You just say, okay, give me an article about this or that, read it, make modifications where necessary, and you have an article in a fraction of the time. So you can write more articles or have more articles written. But I think that the actual writing will be far less than it is now. It's going to be far less important. AIs will do that. Translation. I think people who are in translation, and if you see how good these systems have become at real-time translating stuff, I think a lot of translators are going to lose their jobs. Not in places where 100% accuracy is required. But there they will still rely on people, I think, or a combination of the two. But yeah, some people will lose their jobs.
Yeah, but do you think that thing is in essence depending on the person's the people personality? Like if you're an engineer who is more prone to losing her or his job depending on how you work, do you think that takes a part in this process? Or is it just about a job? It's not about personality, it's not about the way you work?
I think your personality will determine how flexible you are. And if you are not flexible, then you will be the one losing your job, because the one thing that drives an industry forward is flexibility. If you are not willing to change the way you are doing things, imagine that everybody would still say, oh, we work without computers because we don't like technology, and before we did everything on paper with a pen and it worked, so let's keep doing that. Okay, you can, but everybody who uses a computer instead can do your work 1,000 times or more faster. So you can stick to old habits, but if you are rigid, if you are not flexible in what you are trying to do, then you will be the one losing your job. And people who are flexible and say, okay, instead of this, with a bit of adaptation or with a little learning, because you will have to keep on learning for the rest of your life. It's technology, it constantly evolves. So if you're not willing to keep on learning, then it's better to look for something else. But then you wouldn't have been in technology, I think. So you like technology because it advances fast, and
Because it's very rapid, like our generation. That's why I think we're so entitled to technology. Because it's rapid, just like us.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I also have a question based on the fact that we are still students.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what are the most promising uses of AI in education these days?
These days, well, shortly before I came to Romania, I had a look at some of the latest AI platforms, and there were so many that I had to say, okay, limit to everything that was created in 2025. this year, and we're only February. Yeah? So I had a list of over 50 products, some of them commercial, some of them open source. But there are so many that what is going on today, I don't know. I don't have a clue of all the AI systems that are available. But I do know that in education, they are looking to, like, especially with exact sciences, mathematics is very easy to explain or to have it explained by a computer, because mathematics is exact. It does not require a lot of fantasy. Like if you want to teach creative writing, wow,
it's harder.
Yeah, it's harder. But explaining mathematics from 1 + 1 = 2 to all the way to calculus is a step-by-step process that you can gradually increase. It's easy, relatively easy to program. So you can then start looking at individual people. You ask them a few questions. The AI asks a few questions, and the student answers. And if it's wrong, the AI can say, okay, apparently you did not understand this very well. Let's go back a bit. Let's try to remedy this gap of knowledge, and I have some information for you here. And it can start talking with you and gradually bring you to where you want to be. With teachers, it's different, because they have like 20 hours a week to explain stuff, but in different classes. They have 30 weeks in an academic year to explain stuff. 30 weeks is not a lot. So in those 30 weeks, you have to cover an entire handbook, sometimes 2, and it has to go fast. So they ask students, prepare at home, do homework, do this, do that. If students do not understand very well what is expected, then they go back to class the next day, ask the teacher says, no time, study on your own, get extra classes, ask a friend, whatever. They might get annoyed, they might get like a bit frustrated that, why don't you still not understand? A computer will never be like that. So I think in education, these systems that permit for individualized learning, I think that's going to be very interesting. This is where I see applications. I'm a bit afraid that we'll have to wait for everything that is non-scientific to be really like introduced, because coding history is a lot harder than coding mathematics. Yes. Because there are many more links, and history is the story of the world. How do you program that? But yeah.
And that implies emotion. I think that still ChatGPT cannot really express. So
yeah, the feelings of the teachers and
but history should perhaps be taught in a neutral way. So computers can do neutral, but still. There are so many aspects to history that it's hard to cover everything in like one program, and history continually evolves. I mean, the last major breakthrough, I think, in mathematics at high school level was the introduction of vectors, I think. Since then, nothing much has changed. I mean, calculus was invented by Newton, and who was the other guy, Leibniz or something?
Yeah, Leibniz.
So we've had that for a couple of 100 years now, and it's still the same because it's still true. It still works. Yeah, vectors were a new thing that was introduced, but since then, nothing new. It doesn't change very fast. So history changes every day. And this is a problem. Also, history that is happening now is very difficult to grasp, because very often it's only in hindsight, 10 years later, that you get the complete picture of what happened then, and then you can start like modeling classes around it. When something is happening now, do you know why it happened like this or that? Maybe not yet. Maybe you will next year. But this means now you cannot create a lesson around it, or not automatically. So, yeah. History will be harder. Exact science, physics, easy. Yeah? If you have a train at 40 per hour and you throw a ball ahead at 20 per hour while on the train, it will go at, 60. Yeah. It's simple. Yeah? So exact sciences will be a lot easier, I think, to program into AIs and help people study that. Which is maybe good, because it's also the hardest thing to get into people's minds. Yeah,
definitely.
Language is easy to get into somebody's mind. All babies learn language, all of them. And nobody gave them a handbook and said, here, grammar for Romanian, start studying. They just listen and repeat, and parents correct. So yeah, language is, to a certain extent, a lot easier.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what do you think are some risks of over-reliance on AI for decision-making or communication? Because we can see that every day us students rely on ChatGPT, for example, to do our homework or something, but do you think that we can maybe stop thinking for ourselves?
I think laziness is an inherent part of being human. And it's also inherent to technology. Because we invent technology to make our life easier, not to make it harder. We invented computers because then we could do more work in the same time. Since we have email, you don't have to be at your desk anymore waiting for a telephone to ring. Yeah? So it allows us to do different things at the same time. Our laziness drives us towards that. This being said, it's important, I think, to understand that there are different types of AIs. Some, just like ChatGPT, are good at chatting. And what they say often makes sense, but often also doesn't make sense at all, because it's not a tool that... I'll try to put that differently. It's something that just generates speech based on patterns. Yeah? It does not think about the contents of what it is trying to say before it says it. It just starts babbling, one word after the other. So this is why often it won't make sense, especially to a specialized ear or eye. This does not mean that you can't use it. Like, if you want to use ChatGPT to create fantasy stories, perfect. That's what it's very good for, because it can invent. It does not have to be true. Yeah? So if truth doesn't matter, then it's fantastic. If you need accurate information, then you better make sure that the database where your model is based on is very accurate, and that the AI does not invent too much, because invention is is dangerous. So will we become lazy? That was your question. Will we rely too much on AI?
And are there some risks to it?
Yeah, of course there are risks. I mean,
of course.
Imagine that you ask an AI to translate a text, and it translates it in a way that you have never seen before. Nothing makes sense, but you publish it anyway. Yeah, okay. If I were your boss and I saw this nonsense text, I would say, did you write this? Because that's what I'm paying you for, to write texts for me. And if you said, well, I just had the AI do it, okay, you will lose your job then. I will kick you out. I don't have the power to do that. I'm just a simple employee. But anyway, over-reliance on... It's like self-driving cars. If self-driving cars are so fantastic, why do you still have a steering wheel? Mm-hmm. We have the steering wheel just in case.
Just to be safe.
Just to be 100% sure that if it misses this or that, you can still take control. So I think the element of taking control is very important. Don't release control. Keep the control. Use the tool, but make sure that you have the final say. And people who will rely too much on prefabricated information that they have not verified, that they have not checked, they will be the ones who get duped, because cheating other people is very easy. You just have to make them believe something, and then it happens already. Nigerian princes promising you $1 billion if you pay 5,000 euros first, or $5,000. Okay, if you believe that, you're a bit simple-minded perhaps. There is no $1 billion, there is no Nigerian prince, there is no perfect AI. There are risks, but I think when we combine several AIs and have the results of one AI challenged by another, and a second and a third, and this is what happens in hospitals, for instance, when doctors make a diagnosis. They say, I think this patient has this or that. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Everybody gives their own opinion. They listen to each other. The group forms, they try to reach a consensus on what they think is happening with the patient. I think the same thing should happen with AIs. Don't just ask ChatGPT. Ask another AI to confirm, and another one, and another one. And if 3 out of 4 AIs say, well, this is nonsense, then it probably is. So I think even artificially intelligent systems will have to have like some type of moderation, sometimes some type of quality control. Incidentally, this is what we are very busy with in our company. When we introduce AIs for the government, there is a phase of the programming, but after that, there's a phase of follow-up and make sure that the program keeps doing what it is supposed to do, that it does not make mistakes, and as soon as regulations change, which means a database update is required, add the new law to the database, remove the old one, make sure that the AI knows to ignore the old law and start using the new one, etc., etc. So a lot of follow-up work is required. But before that, it was a lot worse. People had to do it all themselves. So AIs will help us, but it does not mean that they will do all the work. Impossible, I think. For now. We'll see what happens. At the same time, seeing dinosaurs in a film was also impossible before. If my grandfather, who passed away a long time ago, he was a professional photographer. When I showed him my first computer and I could show a photograph, a digitized photograph of a person on a screen, he was in complete and utter shock, because a film roll was no longer required. And he said, that's the end of my job. Indeed. Where are all the photographers? Everybody is a photographer, because we all have a phone with a camera in it, or 4 cameras, 5 cameras, that have better resolutions than the cameras from 50 years ago, and everybody can take pictures. The cameramen, photographers, sorry, not cameramen, photographers are gone. In the past, there were like 4 photographers in every village, and they would take wedding pictures, and wedding photographs are almost the only thing that's still left, that people hire a professional for. All the rest we do ourselves. You come into the studio, maybe you could have brought friends and they would take pictures for the website. You don't hire a professional photographer for that. You say, oh, we'll do it ourselves. So photographers gone. This happens. So when my grandfather saw this photograph, he said, "That's it. It has happened." Yeah. How did I get here? I forgot the question.
Another question.
Okay.
What do you think are the best inventions in recent years in technological field? For example, what are your favorite projects or innovations?
I find it amazing that looking back at the first computers I had, you had to program everything yourself. And even when I was a research assistant at university and we wanted to introduce new technologies, you had to program everything yourself because it didn't exist. If you wanted it, you create it. Now, everything has been prepared. Like there are word processors, there are tools that will let you remove people from photographs. What? I mean, imagine in the 50s, 1950s, that you could just remove people from a photograph. They would have been in complete and utter shock. Until 30 years ago, if you wanted to produce a film, you had to go to Hollywood or to like a big film company to have the film produced. Now I do it at home. I have DaVinci Resolve, you download it from the internet, you make sure you have a computer with like 32 gigabytes of memory, a substantial hard disk, that's it. I don't need 300 million anymore to start producing a video. So I think that is amazing, that the power of major companies or major institutions has now entered your home. You can do it yourself. You have all the tools, even photography. A phone is not just a phone, it's a camera, it's a complete encyclopedia. So it gives you directions. You are here. If you want to go there, turn left, turn right, whatever. I think that is amazing. And it's all in your pocket, literally. So, yeah, miniaturization of technology, making chips smaller and smaller so that they fit in a phone, and that they can do video editing, audio editing, all kinds of editing that before had to be done by professionals. That I find proper mind-bending. And I can't repeat it enough. I think if you showed what we have today to people from 100 years ago, they would have thought you came from a different planet. You are an alien because this is impossible. You are a god if you can do all of that. But we're not. We just have it. It has been developed. We have graphics cards now that process tremendous amounts of information. That I find really amazing. It has entered our homes. The first processor, like a 286 processor, I think now we use it to power coffee machines. A coffee machine has like, you can indicate what time it should start in the morning, and I think they will use 286s in coffee machines because we have so much more powerful processors meanwhile that the old ones are recycled into simple technology. Yeah.
I do think it's really hard to pick just one thing from this whole pool of amazing innovations to say
impossible.
That's the best.
But like GPS, for instance, I think is really something that has changed everybody's lives. Everybody's. GPS. Now, it doesn't matter where you are, which country, you can get anywhere you want. Before, I still remember I played table tennis in Belgium, and when we had to go and play in a league, you have to go here, you have to go there. Okay, where's the sports center where we have to be? you look up the address, get out the paper maps, start looking how to get there, and then hope that there was no diversion or a road closed, and you have to get the map out again to find a detour. Now just Google Maps says drive here, drive there, turn left, turn right. It's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I think GPS is one of those.
Especially the real-time updates about how you said the roads is just.
There's a traffic jam. They tell you beforehand.
Yeah, they tell
You're not even there yet,
crash.
but the traffic will slow down. Okay, you still have time to get a detour.
Yeah,
and get there faster. Yeah, it's amazing, and everything real time. But of course, if you see the data centers that Google has, they have
it's
more than just one computer standing there. It's like kilometers and kilometers of servers. Yeah, it's crazy.
And the last question: what advice would you give young innovators like us who want to integrate skills of software engineering or marketing or leadership in their future careers or activity?
My advice to people who want to integrate everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it. Yeah, don't wait. If you don't do it, somebody else will. So if you have a good idea, maybe you're not certain about how things will work out. Maybe you're a bit afraid because projects sometimes require financial investments. Make sure that you talk to the right people beforehand. It's the project planning again that we started with. Make sure that everything is clear for everybody. Make sure that you have a decent idea of the risk you are running. If it doesn't work out, how much money will you lose? How big of a problem is that going to be? So try to minimize all possible risks, but apart from, and you can minimize by making sure you are surrounded by experts, people who know things in their field. Some will be good at communication and marketing, and some others will do the programming. You don't have to be able to do everything, but surround yourself with people who are experts in something you need, and then if you have a good idea, go for it. Really. It's one of the driving forces behind innovation. People wanting to make a change and not being too lazy to actually do it. And I think a creative idea is sometimes enough. You have to have an idea that nobody has had before, or you see something else and you think, if I adapt it a bit, I can apply it in a different situation. Okay, go ahead. Your chances of success will be reasonable if you plan well and if you unfortunately work hard. But working hard is not a problem if you believe in your project. Then it's a hobby.
Once you actually start out, what's one thing you would say that would help taking it to the next level? Like your project, everything you do, taking it a step further.
How to take things to the next level?
Yes.
Ooh, this is a very hard question because it depends on what you have done already. What is the next level? If you plan something in your school and then you want to say, okay, let's go nationwide. Maybe nationwide is a big step. How about county-wide first? Yeah. So expand a little bit. Add some extra schools or some extra companies or organizations. See if you can scale up. If it scales up and you still have no problems and it works in a county, okay, maybe you can try 3 or 4 counties, or if you only have 10 counties in a country, then all 10. Yeah? But if there are 100 counties, maybe go from 1 to 10 and then 100. So it depends on what you are trying to achieve, I think. The level of difficulty, the price, because there is a cost, and not everything can be scaled up without a lot of extra costs. So it really depends on what we are talking about. Software can be scaled up quite easily. Hardware, no. Hardware you have to buy. So this means investors and all the rest. Software, it's just a matter of writing some code and that's it. Well, I make it simple, but but I think, yeah. So the next step, yeah, it will really depend on what we are talking about. Like you were working on a robot. If you decide to commercialize this robot, then you have to ask yourself a question. Is there a market for this robot? Is there anybody waiting for a robot that does this? Or with some tweaks, can you like make a specialized robot that only does one or two things, but a lot cheaper? Because prototypes are expensive, as we all know. But once you enter production, you want to get the price as low as possible by producing more robots. So the question will be, what is the minimum the minimum set of things that you want your robot to be able to do, and what do you think people will be willing to pay for that? And when you get an idea of that, but then you have to talk with marketing people, with bookkeepers, accountants, you know, they will tell you if your idea is too crazy. But if you have a good idea and there's a market for it, don't invent something that nobody is waiting for. That's really stupid and a waste of time. But if you detect a gap in things, you wished something were there, a tool, and it does not exist, okay, I think you just found your niche market. You can create it. If you detect something that you could use, well, you're not the only person on this planet. If you have this need, then probably other people have experienced the same need as well. So it will be a question of getting your prototype idea to a workable idea. In the case of robots, that's one thing. In the case of software applications, it's another. You can try to overshoot goals, like I will invent an AI that does everything. Okay, good luck, it will take a long time to program. If you say I will make an AI that gives advice on crossword puzzles, okay, all you need is to connect the AI with a dictionary, ready. So it depends a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. These were our questions for today, and thank you, Mr. Bonamie, for your answers for today.
My pleasure.
The whole conversation was really amazing, and for everybody at home, thank you for watching, and see you next time.
Yeah, it was great being here. Thanks for inviting me, and I hope to see you soon, because I will keep in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.